All right, let's get hands-on with the kURL preview. I want to start by just showing you in Vendor Portal how you find it. I've got a customer here called RepliCon 2023 that I've set up and enabled the preview for. On the download portal, I'll need to generate a password. When a user comes into the download portal, they'll now have an embedded cluster option down here. You'll notice it's called Helm VM right now. That's just the preview name. That will be changing as we get to launch. And also, you'll notice when I download it, that's not the name of the binary I actually download. So this is the download link. I'm going to copy that address, and I'm going to be using it on these machines over here, so I'm not going to download it to my browser. Let's go and curl that. So I'm using the Slacker News app. You'll hear more about that throughout RepliCon. We won't get into details about Slacker News itself today, but when you see it listed here, that's what it is. I just called my file slackernews.tgz, so I'm going to extract it. And I'm going to get a single binary out. We may add some additional items in, but for now you just get the binary, and that's all you need. First of all, you'll notice the binary is called Slacker News. I'm going to start the install since we're short on time. So the binary is called Slacker News. You're going to see this branding or white labeling throughout the process. It makes the app feel like it's a custom clustering app and not a Kubernetes that you install before your app. You'll see here it's calling itself Slacker News again as well. And the binary size is also much smaller. I can show you that when it's done. This is going to go through the installation plays for kURL itself, as well as add-ons to provide storage and the admin console. When it gets to the admin console, it'll prompt me for the password, and then the user can proceed to log in and provide their license. There's OpenEBS, our storage add-on, and it's going to ask me for the admin console. I'll just pick a password. And it's done. So it's installed at this point. I want to show you the size of the binary. Let's put the H on that. So the Slacker News, you'll see tarred up, it's 275 megabytes. Once I unzip it, it's 561 megabytes. So still quite a bit smaller than anything we download today with kURL. Also wanted to show you that if you, I guess I could show you there are several commands that comes in the Slacker News. And then one of them I'm going to show you now is version. So you can see, you can see what versions of the add-ons and all that are installed. That can be helpful for troubleshooting, of course. And I'm going to do a node list. And so that lets me see, you notice I'm not using kubectl here. This is just Slacker News. I'm just asking it for things. Similarly, it installs a systemd service. So if you're familiar with systemd, I can ask for the status of Slacker News. There we go. And so it's running. It has a lot of forks because at the end of the day, it is still Kubernetes underneath. I could start and stop the service the same way. It is just a systemd service. It will start stop the whole node. So that may or may not be something you're going to be doing a lot. I'm going to look at my IP address. This is the public IP address of the machine I'm on. I'm just going to come on over here. Slacker News tells me that it exports its admin console on port 30,000. So I'll go ahead and load that up so we can get ready. It's probably not quite up yet. When it does come up, it should load over there. And I want to look at how we add additional nodes. So let's look at the first way you can add additional nodes is to create a token. Oh, have to be root to do that. Yes, I want to manually manage my nodes with tokens. All right, so I'm just going to copy that whole thing. We'll go over to the admin console in 1 second. All right, so I've got a second machine here. I've gone ahead and downloaded Slacker News just to speed up the demo. Before I do, let me go ahead and watch this node list. Let's watch the node list so that we can see it get added in. I'm going to run sudo. Let's bring my environment with me just in case. So I'm going to run sudo against the Slacker News binary they already have, give it the node join command with the token here that I've already provided. So this is going to look a lot like kURL, the current kURL versions you're used to. That's going to go add. Meanwhile, I'll come over here real quick and we'll put in the password for our admin console. And I'm going to upload a license. All right, and before I can even finish uploading that license, our second node has added and is ready in the cluster. This is the Slacker News configuration page. I don't intend to do any further demoing of Slacker News itself. I'm just using it as something to install. This will be your app at that point. one thing I really want you to pay attention to here is, if you didn't add the second node, the whole process we went through here was Slacker News install and give it a password. Put that password in and upload a license. Didn't have to do anything else. I did add a second node, and as you can tell, it just added right in. Let's go look at something a little different. I'm now on a different machine. This is a brand new machine that doesn't have, it's not part of the previous cluster. It's not one of the 2 nodes we just looked at. I want to do a multi-node install here. So let's do an install with the multi-node flag. Yeah. And I'm going to, I'm going to need my IP address. Let me get that real quick. There it is. All right, now let's start that. I'm going to use the IP address of the machine I'm on as one of the nodes. I'm using an SSH install method at this point. I'm going to provide credentials and add both machines at the same time. So I'm going to give it the IP address. If you're familiar with SSH, I'm giving it a user, the port, which is standard 22 for SSH. I'm going to select the node type, and I'm going to tell it which key I'm using. Right there, it just validated that it can connect to the host. That tells me the SSH connection is good, and now I can add another node. Let's grab that other IP address I have. This is another machine I just have sitting around ready to go. Same user, same setup, same key. All right, it's happy with that one too. I'm just going to stop there. I don't need to add a lot more nodes to demonstrate that. So I'm going to hit no. And it will ask me if I want a load balancer address because I have 2 controllers. I definitely don't need that for this demo. And it's off to the install. So this looks very similar to the install we were seeing just a second ago. But when it gets done, it will have both nodes installed at that point. All right, it's going to ask me for, I'll need to come back and make sure I give it a password. But while it's doing that, let's go back over to our cluster over here that's been running. And let's take a look at the shell command. So the Slacker News has a shell command. This has launched a shell, and it's put set my environment up to be able to use kubeconfig. You don't have to use it to do the commands we were giving before, but sometimes for troubleshooting or debugging, maybe you need access to it. Well, it's shipped automatically with the binary. So I can do kubectl get node, for example, and it's going to be working automatically. That gives you access to go ahead and do things that we haven't exposed. Get in and do advanced troubleshooting or configuration. Okay. And let's see, checking on this guy. Oh, good, red OpenEBS, so it's ready for an admin console. It's going to apply that, and then it should be done. All right, I want to demo one more thing with this node. So I'm going to kick that off. I want to do an install again, multi-node, but I'm going to provide it a config file. So rather than answering questions, I'm just going to give it a config file, and I'm going to misspell install. There we go. And I've pre-configured 8 nodes. That includes the 2 nodes we've already added, so it's actually adding 6 more nodes, and you'll see it's going to kick off. It's going to skip right through the configuration section because it's already got the config it needs, and it's just going to get to work adding the nodes. So when this gets done, I'm now going to have an 8-node cluster up and running, all added via SSH. Let's see, can I show? I'll give it a minute. It's got to install 1 controller because I did add 1 more controller, and then the workers. The controllers tend to take just a little longer to install than the workers do. We're doing on time 8 minutes. Good. I think we're going to get it in 10. Oh, good. It's on to the workers now. All right, we're good. OpenEBS. It's going to deploy. It'll check the admin console. It's already installed, so I won't need to reinstall it. There we go. All right, so let's take a look now at the node list. Let me make that a little wider so it's easier to read. There we go. Something I want to show here now also is we were talking about static compilation, and something I want to point out is that none of the machines in this demo have used the same OS. Starting from the top here, that's CentOS 9, Fedora 3.8, RHEL 9, Rocky 9, SUSE, Ubuntu 16, which is quite old, that's a Ubuntu Pro, and then a Rocky 9 and an Ubuntu 2204 that are both ARM architectures. So this is demonstrating what the static compiling lets you do without having to bring your own packages across OSs. You'll notice over here the kernel versions vary from version 4 to 6.2. Who's got the newest? Yep, 6.2 looks like Fedora. But the containerd runtime doesn't. We bring that with us as part of the statically compiling. So as long as the host meets some basic requirements, we bring the rest that we need automatically, and these can have some variation. I'll even point out, if you were paying attention before, to the node list over here. We have Ubuntu 2204 LTS and SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. So neither of these are repeats of any of the OSs we have over here either. All right, and one final thing I'd like to show with the shell, Slacker new shell. I'm going to have to add my SSH key here because I'm managing these nodes with SSH. There we go. So I also, as well as kubectl, I also have access to the k0's ctl. So I have access to k0's directly inside the shell here, and I can run, for example, the reset command. Yes, I'm sure I want to destroy my cluster. This is going to reset all 8 nodes, including the node I'm on currently, and remove Kubernetes from it. It'll take it a minute because it will have to shut down. Some of these are running workloads, but it's going to take them out. It's going to remove Kubernetes. These nodes will be ready to go for a fresh reinstall. In fact, I have reinstalled this cluster and my other nodes. I haven't had to spin new machines as I was preparing for this demo. I just reset them, go back and run and install again to get a new version. So while that's running, a quick review. So the binary size significantly smaller. We're seeing about 500 megabytes in total. It's white labeled in this case to be Slacker news, so it fits in with the application. You can run it through systemctl, including stopping it. We're demoing right now that there is some reset functionality built in, so that you can reset a node and reuse it. There is a shell that allows you to get access to advanced configurations like kubectl, but you can do things like listing nodes, starting and stopping without it. And we have demonstrated single node install, which is the very first thing we did, adding nodes with tokens, and adding nodes with SSH, either through the wizard or through direct config. So hopefully that demonstrates several of the things we've talked about and shows you what they look like in their current status. Let that reset finish. Where are we down to? Down to controllers. We have 2 controllers to go. If you're watching this because I wasn't able to make it, this would be a great time to take questions. There we go. Node has been reset, and we could redo our installs.